Thank you, folks. And Adam, thank you for your perpetual generosity to us. I should mention the Witzgold internet site, www.witzgold, W-I-T-S-G-O-L-D. Here's where it gets complicated, .co.za. They use the company instead of the com and a lot of things down there. But Adam has been a hero to us for years now, and we're very moved by all you've done for us, Adam. I have got for you here a proposed declaration from this meeting, from this conference. We're hoping to come out of this with a statement that would summarize the sense of the meeting without getting too dramatic and too specific that people would start having some legitimate objections. We're a very diverse crowd, and I'm not sure we could agree on everything all the time. But anyway, we're going to propose this as a resolution to you and submit it for an aye or an A vote. Having come to the heart of gold country to inquire into the condition of the monetary metals and the industry that produces them, we conclude and declare, while governments affect to have no use for them anymore, the monetary metals are of greater importance than ever because of their ability to hold value independent of arbitrary government power. So ownership of and free trade in the monetary metals are basic human rights against expropriation. While the monetary metals are unique as assets of intrinsic value that cannot default because they are no one's liability, this also has become their crippling weakness. For in being no one's liability, the monetary metals have had, unlike their competitors, government-issued currencies, no sovereign defenders. Indeed, for years now, the monetary metals have had few defenders at all, the Gold Mining Industries Trade Organization having been dominated by short-selling corporations that have obtained metal at the sufferance of the issuers of government currencies, the central banks. This has left the monetary metals almost helpless against competing currencies. Since they issue competing currencies, governments have a powerful interest in suppressing what is perceived as the value of the monetary metals. Governments have achieved this suppression through strategic and often surreptitious lending and dishoarding of their metal reserves. While it is seldom officially acknowledged as such, this is the manipulation of currency and commodity markets that should be free and transparent. This manipulation of the currency and commodity markets has become the primary mechanism of imperialism, projecting and maintaining the power of the international reserve currency, the U.S. dollar, and its issuer, the U.S. government, and compelling other countries to sell their exports for less than fair value. To assist in the suppression of the monetary metals, and at the urging of the International Monetary Fund, the IMF member governments engage in deceptive accounting of their gold, deliberately confusing gold in the vault with gold that has been leased or swapped or whose ownership otherwise has been impaired. In the absence of a government currency's direct and fixed convertibility to the monetary metals, the only purposes for government reserves of the monetary metals are currency intervention and market manipulation. To preclude this manipulation, governments should sell their reserves openly by a date certain, except for that metal needed for coinage. As defenders of the monetary metals, we do not maintain that they should be the only means of exchange. We do not worship the golden calf or the silver bull. We are not idolaters. To the contrary, we believe that individuals and nations alike have the right to decide what they will use as money, even as we acknowledge that freely traded gold and silver are simply the most convenient guarantors of economic liberty. Accordingly, we will defend the crucial place and purpose of the monetary metals and the industries that put them into circulation, encourage the use of monetary metals as parallel official currencies and in commerce and savings, investigate, expose, and oppose attempts to subvert the monetary metals, and support giving the monetary metals a sovereignty of their own, the sovereignty of humanity above the nations. Now, it says on the agenda discussion. Here's the discussion. you know, this statement does not call for a return of the gold standard, and many of us here support that. I'm afraid, and I think a few of us out here are also afraid, that calling for that now would tend to marginalize us and change the subject and the emphasis that we'd like to come out of this conference, which remains to expose the rigging of the metals market and to find ways of putting the metals back to monetary work, at least in the parallel currency and private commercial methods that have been discussed at the conference. The public probably does not know today what it thinks of the gold standard, but the public does support fair play. That is probably our strongest case right now. We just, you know, want a shot. You guys have your money, let us have our money. Second point of importance, I think, here, this is calling for the desorting of all central bank gold reserves. Those guys have used their gold sales and their talk of gold sales and talk of gold leasing to intimidate believers in the monetary metals and to intimidate the mining industry for years and years and years. And unfortunately, we have been intimidated. We have quaked in front of them. But I had no discussion of this with Adam before he came up here and said, let's not be afraid of the bastards anymore. That if we can stimulate enough investment demand, we can take them out. I think that it's important that we show no fear. I think it's important that we let them know we're on to them, that we know they do not have the reserves they claim to have, that they're vulnerable, and that we want humanity to take them out. I think if we call for immediate desorting of the reserves, we will call attention to the manipulation issue. They don't want to discuss that issue. They just want to scare us. Let's not be scared. Let's tell them to get rid of their gold. We want it. Now, there was some discussion last night, suggestion we've proved our case. We ought to go on to other things. Well, I think we have proved our case to ourselves and even to many financial industry and mining industry insiders. But I don't think we've yet proved our case to the world of investors. We have a long way to go. I think we've got to complete that job. We're not saying here today exactly what gata is going to do in the future. We're going to certainly gather our brain trust and our best friends and be talking about this over the next few weeks, but I can promise you something, that unlike the great bulk of the industry, unlike the organization that purports to represent the industry and gold investors, we will do something, and we will make the most of the resources we have and pursue this issue to the end. So I put this to you. I will take the liberty of moving this from the chair, and if there's a second from the audience, it'll make me very happy. Bill, thank you. There is a second. Does anybody get any really strong objections to that? Okay, we got a second. You can go now. All those in favor? Opposed? Well, damn it. Thank you all very much. I have some thanks to make here before we wrap up. We'll publicize this, by the way, and I hope we will get some publicity. Adam said that the guys who dreamed up this conference should be given the freedom of the city. Well, the guys who dreamed up this conference for Johnny Johnston of Klondike Star and Jeff Dahl of Samex Mining, but the city asked that we keep them in here. But if you could give them a round of applause, I would be very happy. I would like also to express our deep thanks to our other sponsors, Cassidy Gold and Agnico Eagle, and if you could give them a round too. And to Janet Lee and Laura Smeltzer, who've really put everything together. I'll tell you, for the last 3 weeks, I was this far from fracking, and I was doing 2% of what Bill was doing, and maybe 1/10% of what Janet was doing. I don't know how they've pulled it off, Janet and Laura. So many of you have come a long way. I hope you're not too disappointed, but we still can go out and get the gold now. Thank you very much.